Good evening. My name is Officer James Sabota. It's truly an honor to be part of the PIP program and serve as your citywide PIP coordinator. We have a very interesting meeting tonight, a lot of information. We'd like to welcome everybody to the Chief Citywide PIP meeting and those members also that are live streaming. With the hurricane, the threat of the hurricane, the rain, and also the presidential debate that will be starting at 8 p.m. and the Astros game. So we have a lot of people that's also coming in the door, but we want to welcome everybody. And so many people, what they do is they tell me, they'll say, Officer Sabota, I have my family I have to pick up, I have pets, I have maybe some family members that they have to take care of. So that's great that we have the resource of the live stream that will be live streamed and also on YouTube. As a courtesy, can you please silence your cell phones? The PIP program goal is to work together with all of the stakeholders in every single community. Very important. We have a very important agenda this evening. If you have a divisional issue that you need to address, please, after the meeting, we will connect you with that commander from that division and those staff members, and we will get that resolved. As the department is growing in this great diverse city, I'd like to point out a few of the community groups that we have here in the city that is growing. One of our big groups and the members that have been very involved is our Deaf and Hard of Hearing program, PIP program. We meet, and for many years, our department, I'm talking 30, almost 40 years ago, in the training, most officers were never trained regarding a simple traffic stop or how to identify somebody who is deaf and hard of hearing. And what we did, we went to the deaf community, we made a lot of friends, and we also learned that it's necessary to follow the ADA guidelines. So Houston, Texas, and we get phone calls from across the country by many other agencies that do not have a deaf and hard of hearing PIP program. And what we do is, at the academy, we teach cadets and we also teach officers about how to deal with somebody who is deaf and hard of hearing. But I'd like to thank the deaf and hard of hearing people that are live streaming and some that are here today. We'd like to thank them. We also have a very important group tonight that are live streaming, and some of them are here, is the Texas Chinese radio channel. We do the PIP program. We do a Texas Chinese radio program to reach out to the Chinese community. And it's very big and interactive. I'd like to point out Pamela Hu. I think I saw her. Could you please stand up? She is the director and she's the radio talk show host. We'd like to thank her very much for being involved and promoting our family, the HPD family in the Chinese community. Very important. But we want to thank you and all of your staff and your radio channel, because we reach out, from what I was told, to hundreds of thousands of people every time that we do the radio talk show. We also currently, we just started this year, is our Spanish-speaking PIP. We just had it. The chief was there, part of the command staff, and we had it last month. Big success. Houston is growing. Houston is very diverse, so we will have that in the future meetings also. Also, for the donated food tonight, was donated by many of it. Much of it was from our Kingwood division and our command staff and the chief's office. We'd like to thank everybody for donating that. Every meeting, we always have resource tables. So after the meeting, after you look at all this great equipment that the SWAT division will be giving the presentation tonight, but we have some resource tables. We have our HPD victim services table. You know, many times if you know somebody who may be a victim of a crime, it's great to go over. They'll give you some great phone numbers, some great resources. We have our Harris County Property Tax Division. They're always here. Thank you very much for coming out. We have our Harris County District Attorney's Office. Sherry. She's back and back. She always has some great information. And for the first meeting, we have our Pride Houston table. But everybody wave there. Thank you very much. So we want to thank everybody for attending the meeting tonight and everybody who is at home live streaming. And I think the last few meetings, the numbers were there were hundreds of people that had signed on to the live stream. And this is also on YouTube. Next, I'd like to introduce our Citywide chairperson, Joan Bashar. Joan, would you like to step up?
Is this better in the back so you can hear?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay. Welcome. I hope everybody has had a nice summer and we're getting ready for the fall and the winter. Unbelievable is what I was hearing today. Welcome to the Citywide PIP, the Chiefs meeting, and live streamed, which has been mentioned to you. And those people are probably going to go crazy watching everything at one time. And at these citywide PIP meetings, the goal is to work together to add for the stakeholders from the community to reduce crime and provide the attending members proactive information in which you can take back to your individual areas and certainly make sure that they know what's going on. Okay, next we have invocation. That's Chaplain Vince Johnson. I know you're here.
Yes, I'm right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Oh, we can do a little better than that. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Before I do the invocation, why don't we just take this moment to tell the person next to you how blessed they are just to be sitting next to you. That includes standing as well. Yes, that's just a way to break the ice. So thank you for your participation. At this time, let us pray. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this moment to gather. We thank you for your grace. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for the hedge of protection that you have bestowed upon the Houston Police Department. We pray that you continually to enhance this relationship, this great relationship we have with our community. The police are the community and the community are the police. And we work together. And we thank you, Lord, for this opportunity. We pray for the leadership of the Houston Police Department. And we also pray that when we leave this particular location, we find our home safe. We find our family safe. Lord, thank you for the meal that we are receiving. Let it be nourishment for our bodies. It is in your name we pray and give thanks. Would everyone say amen? Amen. Thank you.
The success has been expressed by a following statement. We are a dedicated group of citizens and business owners working together with the very dedicated chief, command staff interacting together to reduce crime. And we would like to thank all of you for your participation to gain the growth and the recognition from other cities and police departments. Next, we all have the department's crime division provide a citywide report, and this evening, Division Manager Jim Mallard, did I get it right?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Oh, good, okay. You have the floor.
Thanks, John, I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Citywide PIP. My name is Jim Mallard, as Joan mentioned. I'm the division manager for the Crime Analysis and Research Unit for the Houston Police Department. And so I wanted to give you a brief update on where we're at with our crime numbers going into mid-September. So our preliminary look at crime, we're down a little over 5% in violent crime year-to-date compared to last year, and down about almost 8% in property crime, for a total of about 7% down. We're seeing double-digit decreases in our murder category, and that mirrors the nationwide trend reduction in murders, which is awesome news. We're also seeing double-digit decreases in our auto theft and our theft from motor vehicle or burglary from motor vehicle categories, which again is great news. We've had an auto theft unit here at the Citywide PIP meeting this year talking about what you can do to prevent auto theft, what you can do to prevent burglaries. If you remember, the gun safe was here earlier giving out gun safes, and so we've paid a lot of attention to those, and I think you can see that reflects the fruits of our labor. So I think we're looking pretty good, and I'll be back next PIP meeting in a couple months to give you an update closer to the end of the year. A couple things I wanted to touch on briefly. Visit our website at houstontx.gov/police. You can get information under the crime statistics category. You can get some data. You can get reports under the transparency section. Our monthly operational summary gives you a little information about our response times and some other crime-related information. It's a great way to stay up to date with what we're doing. Our command overview, beats and boundaries, all of that information can be found on our website under the crime stats or the transparency sections. And I also wanted to mention our crime map at communitycrimemap.com. This is a great resource for everybody where you can go and get real-time crime information about what's going on in your area. You can subscribe to alerts, so you can put your address in and find out about crimes that are happening in your neighborhood. And you can put in a buffer of certain distance that you want to be notified about crimes. And so I'd encourage you to visit the website, explore the data that's available there, and sign up for alerts and help stay informed. So with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back over. Thank you.
It is my really, really great pleasure to introduce our chief, J. Noe Diaz. Would you please come up? The floor is yours.
Thank you, Joan. Howdy, y'all. Good to see y'all. Wow, what a great group of people. Thank you for coming to this event. It is so important for our police department to have the interaction with the community. But first, I want to thank the command staff that's behind you, because they're the ones doing all the work. And I especially want to thank the men and women of the Houston Police Department who are doing it every day, making these crime stats go down. I know the good Mayor John Whitmire's mentioned in a few instances that our police department is short, but the team that we have now is all rolling in the same direction and making it happen. So that's why the stats look like they look, not for anything that happens at 1200, but it's happening in the patrol car every night, every shift. They're making significant impacts in the community. And for that, I'm grateful, because they're taking care of business. So know that your safety, your property, your families are paramount for us, and we want to make sure that you have exceptional police services, one, and we're working every single day. Yesterday, we had the pleasure of the good mayor traveling to our new cadet class and increasing the pay by $10,000. I mean, that is a big ask, right? So that's, and I know that we're responsible, and I will be judged on how good a steward I am with the resources that this community provides. So I know it's public information. Our budget is $1 billion, but know that 92% of that goes into salaries, staff, benefits. So all of the $1 billion doesn't go into our police department. So again, I just want to thank everyone that's here today. It's my distinct honor to be here before you, especially representing the men and women of this community. I'd be remiss if I don't recognize Senator Joan Huffman's staff. Jennifer, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for showing up. But we have a very good police department, in my opinion, the best in the country. And I'll share something with you that the Louisiana State Police are asking to come train their entire police force at our homicide division. So that is a big thing for us. Know that our team is ready, is state-of-the-art. There's no silly business in our shop. We're taking care of business in every aspect. Know that we have some very capable, very loving human beings at our office, right? That they're people, because this business is about people, and it's always going to be people. So our team is here, and it's not just the men and women wearing the uniforms, our civilian staff, our call takers, our admin staff. They put it together. It all works to build one big police department, and I'm very, very grateful for them. So does anybody have any quick questions? I know everybody's here to see the cool stuff from SWAT, right? Anybody have any little question in any way? No? No? You sure? I'm here.
What are your plans for the K-9 unit? Are you expanding the police dog unit?
Well, the K-9 unit that we have now is very robust. In fact, we just had an event where people can get online through the Houston Police Foundation and sponsor a K-9. So it's a robust thing. So if you have business owners in the community, they can get onto the Houston Foundation website and they can sponsor a dog, because they're always recycling. They don't last 6 or 7 years, and know that they're not like Cujo at your house, Fluffy, right? That's the real name of the dog, right? So they're actually working dogs. So their work is important to this community. They keep us safe. They keep our staff safe. So I wasn't kidding. It's Cujo. So, but no, yes, sir. The best orthodontist on the west side, right there.
Retired, thank you.
Retired.
Thank you. Is this your first meeting?
Here, yes, citywide it is, doctor.
Welcome.
Thank you.
I noticed that the human trafficking had taken a little of the jump. You want to make a comment on that? Around 13%, I saw the little red dot.
It takes a jump because we're working harder at it. So we're making more arrests, and we're making way into new organized crime trends. So that's going to be the uptick because people are reporting it. So for us, it's important that we don't have that in our community. So when you see a slight uptick like that, it's because our team is being effective with our resources.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor.
and your team.
Thank you. All right, I'll let SWAT commander come up here, and y'all ready to go? So the cool stuff. I'll tell you one story about SWAT. So in my last police department, we had a young man who made a very bad decision and thought he was going to rob a hotel. And he went in there, and there was no money to rob because everybody pays with a credit card. So the police got there so quick, he ran out of the back of the hotel. And he was borrowing his mother's BMW X5. So it's a small SUV, but his windows were so tinted, we couldn't tell if he was in there. So we contacted the Houston Police Department, and what do they bring a robot dog out. I'm not kidding. And that dog comes out like a robot dog would, right? And it comes, and it lifted its front paws onto the window, and it has lights in its eyes. So the young man came out immediately, right? So he came out immediately because he thought the dog was going to flip the car, and he didn't want his mom's BMW to get damaged. So they have some very cool equipment. I'm very, very fortunate to work with them, work for them. So that's just one story of my experience with SWAT. They do a phenomenal job. They're the best in the business. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Did you have something else? No.
Okay, we're here because of all this up on this table. And this is a special feature presentation for all of you this evening. And it's HPD's SWAT team and staff. And Lieutenant Besselman, Rick Besselman, will be the lead, correct? Okay, so enjoy.
Give me just 1 second.
Okay, welcome everyone. Let me start with welcoming our command staff. That includes all the brass that are in the building, and for the first time from the Houston SWAT team, I would like to welcome Chief Diaz as our police chief. We're very happy to have Chief Diaz and Executive Chief Harden now. I'll tell you a story about Chief Harden. He is not a bad story. Chief Harden has something in common with Chief Satterwhite, who just left the department. Chief Harden was a SWAT officer back in the day. So not only is he now a chief over us, but he actually came up through the ranks and did what you see all these folks in green here today. All the pain they went through to become a member of the SWAT team, Chief Harden actually did that back in the day. So it's really, it's nice to have somebody up there who really understands what we do and why we do it. Also, I'd like to welcome any city council members that are here, all of the other HPD officers that showed up. We appreciate y'all showing up too for this, and especially you sitting here. It is so nice for us in law enforcement to be amongst people who support us. There are a few people out there who do not support us. As you know, in the last 10 years, 15 years for us has been a little bit rough at times, but we know every day when we get up and go do this job that there are more people out there that support us and support what we do and back us on a daily basis than there are that aren't. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart after doing this all these years, and I appreciate you being here to hear what we have to say. So thank you very much. Let me also thank Officer James Sabota right here. None of this would be happening without him. He is incredible behind the scenes. We've been talking for weeks, and he's an outstanding officer for this department. He does a lot of good for this place. One more thing. Our thoughts and our prayers right now are with our friends in Louisiana. They're about to get hit with a hurricane tonight and tomorrow. We know as officers, first responders, what's about to happen in Louisiana. They're going to go on 12, 16, maybe 24-hour shifts. And they're going to do the best they can under some horrible conditions. So our thoughts and prayers are with them, and I'm sure we'll support them however we can as a department. So let me introduce myself. My name is Rick Besselman. I am the current full-time lieutenant of the Houston SWAT team. I joined the department in 1992. I've been on 32 years. I became a member of the SWAT team in 2005. So in total, about 19 years I've been on the SWAT team. I became the full-time lieutenant, and I'm going to explain to y'all shortly the difference between a full-time and part-time. We have both. I became the full-time lieutenant 14 years ago in 2010. I don't know for sure, I don't have the number, but probably in 19 years, my guess, I've probably been involved in close to 1,500, maybe 1,500 SWAT scenes in this city. So it is, you know, I've seen a lot. I've seen a whole lot over the years, some good and some not so good, obviously. That's kind of my background. I did work investigations for 5 years prior to promoting to sergeant. I was over a patrol tactical team for several years and worked patrol for many, many years, mostly at Southwest, West Side back then. So that's kind of my background. I can't tell you how much it means to me to be a part of this team and to be here as long as I have. You know, you have to stay healthy to be on this team. You have to have a lot of support from your supervisors and your command staff, which we do have. And it's just amazing that I get to work with these guys that you see in green here every day. These are some of the most dedicated officers in the entire department. We have a great department and a whole lot of officers that work really hard every day. These guys, a lot of times, are doing it behind the scenes, and I mean, it's incredible to work with them. They are extremely motivated. So I feel very, very blessed to be in the position that I'm in. Before I go on any further, I would like to introduce my boss, Commander Craig Bellamy. Commander Bellamy, sorry, it's going to be Captain Bellamy from what I hear. I don't know if you guys in the back know that, but if you think you're a commander today, maybe not. Maybe you'll be a captain again tomorrow. I'm old school, and captain is something I've used for 32 years, and it's still hard for me to say commander, but I've tried to get there, but I'm happy to say we're going back to captain. Anyway, Commander Bellamy is over the Tactical Operations Division. That includes SWAT, hostage negotiators, bomb squad, dive team, and patrol canine. So he has all 5 of those units under his command. I am in charge of SWAT and hostage negotiators. We have another lieutenant who is about to retire. He is over the bomb squad and the dive team. So there's 2 lieutenants at our office, and then we have another lieutenant off-site at K9 who runs the patrol canine side of it. But Commander Bellamy is over all of it. And before I go on any further, I'd like to bring him up and let him say a couple words.
Thank you, Rick, and thanks for everyone for coming to this event. It's really good to see this kind of turnout. And yeah, Chief, we're very happy about going back to captain, so thank you. I like it a lot. I'll be really brief. I just want to talk about the specialness of this unit. Obviously, SWAT, special weapons and tactics, and a lot of people see the gear, the toys, the cool things that we have, and think that's what makes us great. And it's a very, very small component of what makes us great. Our people is what take us there. They are exceptional. He will talk a little bit about what it takes to even get here through the door, and that's just the beginning. It's a career-long path of constant training, constant learning, constant improving, and constantly be ready to be tested, to have to put their lives on the line to protect or save somebody else. And I can tell you, I've seen them do it, and they do it without question. They are happy to serve and happy to protect. And I've gotten to see a lot of the teams around the country, and I can honestly tell you ours is the best. We may not have as many SWAT officers, and we may not have some of the same gear, but our people are second to none. They really are. You're in for a treat for getting to see a little bit of what we do, and then afterwards we'll be hanging around to answer questions. You can come look at all the gear and interact with us as much as you want. So I'm going to hand it back over to Rick. Thank you.
Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is show you a training video that our guys created. I can stand up here and talk all day about everything that we do. We are a Tier 1 SWAT team as defined by the National Tactical Officers Association. There are not many Tier 1 SWAT teams in the country. To be a Tier 1 SWAT team, there's about 3 pages of boxes you have to check off. For instance, helicopter operations, hostage rescue operations, rappelling, waterborne operations. We have to be able to operate in water environments. The list goes on and on and on. A lot of what I'm talking about you're going to see in this video, so I'd like to show this video. I think it's 5, 6, 7 minutes long, so I hope you enjoy this. We'll start with this. Maybe I should just stop right there and leave. Was that okay? Very proud of that video. Some of our guys made that video a couple years ago, and we used that to try and recruit guys to come to the SWAT team. Guys and girls. When I say guys, you know what I mean. We have had a couple of females on the team, by the way, over the last 15 years or so. Not very common, but occasionally we do have a female trial for the team. Okay. Can y'all hear me in the back? This doesn't sound like it's very loud. All right, where's the clicker? Okay. I'm going to show y'all some pictures here real quick. These are some of the very early going on, and we'll talk about this for a second. SWAT teams. Anybody have any idea where the first SWAT team was created? I know, everybody, most people are going to say LA, and you were almost right. The actual first SWAT team that was ever created, although it wasn't called a SWAT team, was in Philadelphia. They created it in 1964, and it was a tactical team that was created back then to deal with bank robberies. They didn't call it a SWAT team for several years later, but Philadelphia actually had the first tactical team that was put together back then. Let me get to my notes so I don't misspeak here. So in the 60s, the majority of my team was born, for sure. So they don't know any of this. But back in the 60s, we started having riots. We started having Watts riots. There were some other things that happened back in the 60s that kind of precipitated the formation of SWAT teams. So who remembers in 1966 the incident at University of Texas, the Texas Tower sniper? Some of y'all were around when that happened. A suspect by the name of Charles Whitman, he took a knife, he killed his wife, and he killed his girlfriend. He killed his wife and he killed his mother. He then went to the University of Texas. On the way up to the clock tower, he killed 3 people. He had multiple weapons in his possession, some being some long guns and some pistols. On the way up, he killed 3 people. He went up to the 23rd floor in the Texas Tower, and for 96 minutes, he shot at people on that campus. 17 were killed, and 31 were injured. He was stopped when 2 Austin police officers went up the stairs all the way to the top, confronted him, and they were able to stop him at that time. That is one of the things. That's another incident that kind of precipitated the formation of SWAT teams. Back then, there was a guy named John Nelson in LA who came up with the idea that police officers in 1967, 68 are actually outgunned. They are going up against individuals that have semi-automatic rifles, and what were they carrying back in the 60s? They were carrying revolvers with 6 shots, okay? And they were going up against individuals in these riots and all the unrest in the 60s. They were outgunned. They did not have body armor. They didn't have helmets. They didn't have Kevlar protection anywhere. So John Nelson actually came up with the idea, presented it to Daryl Gates, who became the commissioner over LA, and the idea took hold, and hence LA created a SWAT team. It was part of the Metropolitan Division D Platoon, and that was in 1967 when that happened. LA SWAT did not have their first deployment until 1969. And what that was they had a 4-hour standoff with the Black Panthers in 1969. They estimated that over 5,000 rounds were exchanged between the LA SWAT team and officers and the Black Panthers. Ultimately, 4 of the Panthers were injured and 4 officers were injured in that incident. In 1974, LAPD SWAT became generally accepted as a police resource. So going all the way back to 1974 is how SWAT kind of got started. Now, Houston SWAT just celebrated their 50-year anniversary in February of 2024. We were created in 1974 also. There were about 8 SWAT officers on the original SWAT team here in Houston. So our team was created 50 years ago this year, and we still carry on some of the traditions that were started in 1974. It was really interesting. We had our 50-year reunion, and we had several individuals that were a part of the original team that are still alive, and they made the reunion. And it's so interesting talking to them. And when they see this stuff, you cannot believe their reaction to the equipment that we have compared to what they had back in 1974. So things have drastically changed. Some of this I'm going to get through pretty quick just because of time. So this is our current command. I kind of talked about it a little bit. Maybe Executive Chief Thomas Harden, since Chief Diaz walked out, can fill in those question marks right there. Who's going to be our assistant chief? Or maybe he'll let us pick who wants it back there. Like I said, Commander Craig Bellamy, and now we get to the point where you see the word part-time next to a few of those names. So Houston SWAT has a full-time team and a part-time team, but we're one team. The full-time team reports to tactical operations on a daily basis. It's our full-time job. We have a part-time team who trains with us 1 week every month, and they also are on the pager just like we are, and they respond to any warrants or call-outs, SWAT call-outs that we have. We have 40 SWAT officers in the city and on our team. 24 are on the full-time team, 16 are on the part-time team. Generally, you have to be on the part-time team at least 2 or 3 years before we even consider bringing you over if a full-time position opens up. It takes, in my opinion, after doing this all these years, no matter how switched on somebody is and how much background they have, it still takes approximately 2 years, sometimes 3 years, to get them to what we consider most ready. That means we don't have an opening for them, but they can step in any given day and do what a full-time SWAT officer could do. That's how long it takes to actually train somebody to get out there. This is our org chart. Basically, forget all that. And we're split in 3 teams, A, B, and C. A and B are what we call operators, and C is snipers. Every SWAT scene, we deploy snipers. They are the ones who have eyes on the objective, and you'll see this a little bit more in a minute. We also have a SWAT training unit now, and that is 2 they're actually still SWAT officers. They're still operational, but we moved them over to become the training unit, so they put on training for our full-time team on a regular basis. So one of the questions that I get all the time, what do y'all do? These are some of the things that we respond to. Excuse me. Barricaded suspects, suicides, hostage scenes, active shooters, warrants, dignitary protection. You know what that is? That's when the president comes to town. The CAT team for the Secret Service, you may not know this, but every time the Secret Service comes to town, Houston SWAT has a CAT team in the motorcade with the Secret Service. We are always with them 24 hours a day until that president or former president leaves town. We do large venue. We work major events like the Texans games and things like all the big protests, parades that happen in the city. The SWAT team is there. You may not know we're there, but we are there at almost all these events. And then we do some top secret stuff that I'll tell you about later. All right, so let me just get down here. So what else do we do? So we train on a regular basis. Our SWAT team trains 1 week a month, but don't think it ends there. If there's an open day on the calendar where we are not running a warrant, or we have another assignment like PIP, for instance, or any other events that we're working or staffing, our guys are probably training. They're probably doing something training-wise. We train in the city, out of the state, and even out of the country we've trained. So we've even trained with the Department of Defense. So our guys have been fortunate enough to train with some of the most tactically sound individuals in the world. They've come here several times. You probably saw it on your Facebook feed when they're in town because they take up a lot of room when they come. But we are very fortunate that we get to train with them when they're here. We teach, we do active shooter drills, we put on active shooter presentations, we maintain a fleet of heavy vehicles, we maintain all this equipment. Believe me, you're going to see some really neat toys here in just a minute. We do everything that a normal officer does too. We have to do reports, we have to do our use of force forms, and everything that all the other officers do, we do also. So how often are we called out? All right. So this was stats from 2023. We had 90 SWAT scenes. We call them special threat situations in Houston. Okay? Let me read something to you. The Houston Police Department's Special Weapons and Tactics Detail and Hostage Negotiation Team shall be used in all special threat situations as defined. The primary goal in such situations is the safe release of all hostages and the successful termination of the operation without loss of life. That is our goal in every single scene that we go out on. No matter what you hear about SWAT or what you have ever heard about us, there's not a single person on this team who doesn't go out on a SWAT scene or a warrant and want it to go completely smooth. We do not want to use force on anybody, but I promise you, if we have to, we have that capability. We had 61 barricaded suspects, 12 hostage situations. We rescued 20 hostages last year. We ran 117 high-risk warrants and 22 vehicle takedowns. What's a vehicle takedown? That is basically a felon that we've identified, maybe in an apartment. He comes out, gets in a car, SWAT comes in and takes him down. It could be a very dangerous individual. That would be considered like a vehicle takedown. Now, to be fair, some of these warrants that we ran last year were on an overtime program called Safe Houston. We were fortunate enough that the city gave overtime money, and our guys, we have a group of guys who really like to go out and put the felony suspects in jail. And so some of those high-risk warrants that we run were attributed to the Safe Houston program. So these are some of the additional stats. 230 suspects arrested, 122 pistols off the street, 58 rifles. We taught 104 classes. We did 64 demonstrations, kind of like what we're doing tonight. That would be considered a demo. 78 high-risk special assignments. That is the Texans game, the Thanksgiving Day parade, any event, big event that happens at City Hall, any of the large parades or events that draw a lot of people. SWAT has what's called a CAT team there. It's called a counter assault team. We put teams there just in case somebody decides they want to start shooting people or trying to do an active attack. We have SWAT officers that are ready to respond in a moment's notice at most of these events. Once again, you don't know we're there because we rarely get out of the vehicles, but we're there a lot. So when you look at these numbers, we're pretty busy. We had, roughly 250 operations last year. And, when you factor in all the different operations that we have, we're a pretty busy team. Let me give you one more bit on that. So let me give you a snapshot of what did SWAT do this week. So the question is, what do we do? What do y'all do? Because there's not a SWAT scene every day, right? We all know that. Here's what we did. Starting on Saturday, we worked the Heroes Run at City Hall, the 9/11 Heroes Run. On Sunday, almost the entire SWAT team came in, and Grant, remember, we have Saturday, Sunday off. We came in on Sunday to start a SWAT basic school because we're in the selection process right now, which means we have some openings that we're trying to fill. So our process is ongoing right now. We came in and started a SWAT basic school. At the same time, we sent 8 SWAT officers to Anniston, Alabama to a weapons of mass destruction class so they can learn how to operate in biological warfare conditions. They're learning how to put on those suits and how to protect themselves if we ever have a terrorist attack here in the city. So we have people currently training there right now for that. On Monday, we started our SWAT training week. So all those part-time guys I was talking about, they came in and they're training this week. But the SWAT basic school is still going on. So at 5 a.m., all the folks in green were at SWAT basic school getting ready for another long day. On Tuesday, which is today, we had SWAT basic school this morning. Then we broke some guys off and they went and ran a vice warrant this afternoon. Illegal gambling, game room type situation. We ran a warrant on that. Why does SWAT do that? Why would you have the SWAT team go do that? Because in these illegal game rooms out there, they fortify their doors to the point that normal patrol officers do not have the equipment or the training to be able to get through some of these fortifications on some of these game rooms that we're seeing pop up all over the city. So we go out there, not because you necessarily need a SWAT team, you just need the expertise and the equipment that we have to get through the door. So we did that and we continued basic school. Wednesday through Friday, we're continuing SWAT basic and training week for our part-time guys. This coming Saturday, we're working an Independence Parade, and then Sunday, we'll be at the Texans game. So that's just a snapshot of what these guys do. It's not always that busy, but I'm telling you, it's pretty busy. Pretty busy. So in addition to that, everything that I just said, we are on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If Commander Bellamy's phone rings right now, we will activate the SWAT team and be en route to a SWAT center. So in addition to doing all of this other stuff, we are constantly kind of playing a chess game, making sure that we have individuals ready to come respond when the call comes in. Not many units in the department are 24/7 like we are. There's been many a times where we've been on the SWAT scene all night long till 6 or 7 in the morning. We go home and go to sleep for 1 hour, and the call comes in again. And then we're out there again for another 5 or 6 hours. We don't have anybody else to call. We only have one SWAT team. We do have other SWAT teams in the region that we can rely on if it gets bad enough. We can run at least 2 scenes, maybe 3 at one time. But if we run our folks into the ground for 12 hours or 16 hours in a row on a scene, we may actually have to call Harris County SWAT or Fort Bend County SWAT or Pasadena SWAT or Montgomery County SWAT to come help us. We are a regional team, which means we help them, they help us. We get tons of money from a federal grant called UASI, and that funds a whole bunch of our equipment. In order to qualify for that funding from the federal government, we have to be a regional SWAT team, which means if Fort Bend calls and says, we need your help, we have to go. We have to send our equipment, we have to go. It's an agreement that we all have. And we work very, very well together. We also meet quarterly, and we stay on the same page with all the SWAT teams, so to speak. We meet with them on a regular basis. So.
Rick, it's 5 till, so.
Okay.
So we have to go on to the
Okay, so training, we talked about training. This is kind of a snapshot of what we do throughout the year. I'm sorry, I hit it. Every week that we train is it's a different category, but there's a lot of other stuff done during that week. So when you see hostage rescue, May 9th through 13th, we do work on hostage rescue most of the week, but we do also do firearms training and other stuff like that too. So, and then we have specialized training. And with that said, we have a TAC medic program. And Doc, I only got a minute or two for you, but we have a TAC medic program with our SWAT team, and we have 3 doctors. We actually have 2 right now and 1 in training. Dr. Thestrup has gone on to another job. But every time SWAT goes out, we have a medical doctor that comes out with us. It's either Dr. Purse, who most of you know as being the head EMS director for the whole city. So Dr. Purse was out at SWAT basic school this morning at 5:30 in the morning, and then he was at a press conference with Chief Diaz at 11 this morning. Most people don't know that, but Dr. Purse comes out on our SWAT scenes. He wears our same uniform, and he stands there with us until the scene is resolved. It is unbelievable to have doctors that volunteer their time to come out and be with us, so if one of us gets hurt, or a suspect gets hurt, or an innocent person gets hurt, we have a medical doctor there. In addition to that, we have EMTs and a paramedic on our team. But let me introduce Dr. Kevin Schultz real quick. Doc, come up.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Besselman, and I'll be very, very brief. As Lieutenant mentioned, my name is Kevin Schultz. I feel like an imposter here because I'm not an officer, not the officers in green here, but I've been with the SWAT team for 11 years. And I'm an ER physician. I work in some of the ERs here in Houston. My full-time job's actually with the Houston Fire Department, working for Dr. Purse on the EMS side. But we do also work with the SWAT team and kind of maintain our tactical medic program. HPD SWAT's had a tactical medic program since 2009. Started with 1 doctor, Dr. Thestrup, that Lieutenant Besselman mentioned. And Dr. Thestrup was initially just going out on his own. And he started building a team. And at this point now, as mentioned, we have 3 doctors, we have 9 EMTs, and a paramedic. And so from that perspective, and since about 2017 or so, we've been ramping up our officers and those are, when I say that with 9 EMTs and paramedics, those are SWAT operators. Those are the guys who have all these other jobs that they're doing. Also, on top of that, have maintained these medical certifications. So pretty much the same certifications that the firefighters on the fire truck that show up when you have medical emergency have. They went through the same training, have the same certifications on top of all their law enforcement credentials. They carry a whole bunch of extra equipment, and then we put them through even more additional training to bring them up even further beyond, in some skills, the levels of a regular EMT or a paramedic. And so it's a team that we're very proud of. We do try and, we are currently running a little short on the physician side, and we're trying to get to every scene we can. But I trust completely in the guys and the work they've put in terms of being able to manage these things as well, and we're just able to help out. We go through the training weeks with them. We operate with them on a regular basis. The pager goes off at 2 in the morning, and then again an hour after we go to bed. We'll be there too. But I don't want to take any more of your time, so I'm going to give it back to Lieutenant Besselman.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
We are currently in the selection process, but due to time, I'm not going to go into it. Let me just tell you, our selection process is very grueling. It takes about 6 months before you're selected to just be a member of the part-time team. Currently, I have about 50 people that tried out. Over 50% of them failed out already. And so we're down to less than 50% that actually showed up. Our standards are pretty high, and we just don't cut anybody slack. If you want to work over here, you've got to maintain standards. Why is that? Because all those uniforms back there behind us, we are a support unit. We're here to support them when they need us. We have to perform, and we have to finish the job when they call us out. So we have to train hard, and we have to have a very grueling selection process in order to have the best team that we can have. So that's why our process is what it is. This is our PT test, if you want to take a quick look at it. This is just a tryout PT test. They have to complete all that. They have to do everything on line one. They have to do that minimum just to pass. And then you got to remember, if there's 50 people trying out, you want to stand out. So you better do a little bit more than line number one if you really want to make the team. So this is, I'm not going to show this video, but this is what's going on right now, SWAT Basic School. It's a 60-hour school. It's very, very difficult. If any of you have been to boot camp, this is 1 week of boot camp. I can assure you that. It is very tough. Very, very tough school. Okay, so one thing I want to say, we are a technology-driven SWAT team now. Things have changed drastically over the last 10 years. You can see all the equipment here. I have a couple surprises for you. We brought an armored pickup truck. We brought the Bear. The bomb squad has their robot truck here. Why is the bomb squad associated with SWAT? The answer is we only have so many SWAT officers. We can't pull everybody off of a SWAT position in order to run a robot or run a drone. We have multiple robots and multiple drones, and these things have to be operated by somebody. So right now, you're going to get a chance. If you look down the middle aisle, you're going to see Spot the Dog coming in. And over your head, if you look up, you will see what's called a Loki interior drone. Okay? This Spot the Dog has the ability to go up several flights of stairs, up and down. It has the ability to open doors, close doors. It has the ability to deploy different items that we need deployed during a scene. Y'all see that drone? Because he sees you, I promise. He's looking at you right now.
Is the dog going to open up the door or not?
Now, if you want to turn your attention to the back of the room, you're going to see what we call an FX robot. This is a large platform robot that we use to breach doors. If we had a door to breach, we would show you, but I don't want to make the union mad at me. But I can assure you there's no door in this building that robot can't go through. Why is that so important to have a robot and a drone and Spot the Dog go in before we go in? Because if there's somebody hiding behind a couch that has a rifle waiting for these guys to come in, I want him to be spotted with the dog or the FX or a drone before I send guys through that front door. That's why we have this technology. And let me tell you, thanks to UASI funding, thanks to the Houston Police Foundation, thanks to the 100 Club, Houston Citizens Police Academy, that is how we have all this equipment. The city of Houston cannot afford to buy this kind of equipment. Jason, how much is Spot worth? $280,000 you're looking at right there with Spot the Dog. $280,000, and I'm not kidding. We actually have 3 of them. And that is because of people that have given generously to the foundation or the 100 Club, and we are able to get life-saving equipment like this. We also have that armored pickup truck out there that I want you to see when you leave. It looks like a regular pickup, but it's fully armored. Now, I'm going to end it here. My SWAT officers that are present are going to come up to the table. We will stay here as long as you have questions that you want answered. You can also feel free to go outside and look at the vehicles. You can get in the vehicles. You can check them out however you want. But we will stay here as long as you want us to stay. I wish I had another hour because I could keep going. But I know we all have to go and watch the debate, don't we? It starts here in a few minutes. So I appreciate it, and we won't do a formal question now, but if you have questions, please come up to the tables, and all my guys can answer any question you have. Thank y'all very much.
That was very interesting. I hate to move you over.
No, I'm going to get out of your way.
Love the dog. Okay, I want you to make a note. October 1st, National Night Out. And each division is doing their own night out. Secondly, November 12th is our mixing meeting and having to meet everybody and also to have a nice holiday start. On behalf of the Citywide Board, divisional PIP officers, the entire command staff, we would like to thank all of the PIP members who have been involved in their neighborhoods and this program. And the goal of this program is crime prevention. If you have the time, get involved. If you don't have the time, make the time. It's your neighborhood and your city. Now, don't all run at the same time and jump up here, but do and get home safely, please. And don't forget our Louisiana friends.
I'd like to make one announcement here.
Okay, one more announcement.
I'd like to make one announcement, and it is a poem from our deaf and hard of hearing group. I'd like to read it to everybody. It's fantastic. Family Friends poem. Very great people that are kind and nice, sharing their poems, that are our way outstanding. Emotions like fire, wind, and ice, and earth. What make this site so fantastic, what share their love, support, and care for one another. Thank you very much.